We continue with the Inkscape presentation here and how to use it. What we're going to do here is show you how to size up different objects by scaling. You click on the object that you want to have and then you can resize it. I'm going to show you how not to scale a horizontal plot. You can come over here to the horizontal plot and you can go like this, and I go, ooh, that's all squished up. I don't like that. Okay, so I go Control Z, and then I go, well, maybe I'll be more careful and see if I can keep from squishing it. And so I get out there and I look at it, and it's still a little squished. Well, there's a thing called aspect ratio. I'm going to go Control Z, get it back, and it's this little lock up here. And you'll get used to hitting this little baby, because what this does is allow me to grab a corner and then just move things so that the aspect ratio stays the same. And I've scaled all the vectors down, and I want to say go ahead and tuck this right in the corner of this other plot, and it's perfectly scaled. The aspect ratio and everything has remained the same. So another thing I can do is I can group things together. I can look, I look in my root. I always have, like a chameleon, I have one eye on this down here all the time, making sure that I'm in the right layer. And in this case, what I want to do is I want to group the vertical section plot and this other plot together so that they will move about together should I decide to move it. If they're not grouped together, then if I click on this and move it, you can see that the other plot stays in the same spot and this plot doesn't. So to group things, it's very simple. I simply select one object and I press the Shift key down and I select the other object that I want, and it gets selected in there. Or I just box off the whole thing like this and select it, which is probably the easiest way to do it. And then I come up here and I have these little icons here, and this is my group icon. And I can hit that, and then that puts everything in the same group. Now when I move this box, everything moves together. More importantly, if I want to resize this box so that it's going to be I want to maybe have it the width of the page, I can come over to here and I can grab this corner and I can just move it on up. And I look at that and I go, well, you know, there was something down below there. I want to see that. What am I going to do? So I can either move this out of the way temporarily and say, okay, yeah, there it is, my slot data. Or I can do something else. I can say, I have this whole thing selected. I'm just going to push it down to the bottom of the layers. And so anything that was below it gets pushed up on top of it, and then I can hit those things and move them around and rescale them, and which is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to move that around. So I want to take this graphic, which is one of the last items. It's the last view that I had on the screen that I want to have captured, and I can resize this. Now this is a bitmap, and it's to the resolution of what my screen is, and so if I make it too big, it'll get to be a little boxy. But since it's a very high resolution screen you should be working with, generally you have a lot of room for expanding. The next thing that you can do is resize these other boxes. Maybe you want to have these boxes up here stretched out a little bit larger so they're all pretty much the same width, and you can come and just group those. Notice that when my grouping, my box doesn't entirely wrap around something, that when I let off it's not going to actually select it. So I'm going to just go ahead and select this, and now I have one mega group that I can move around, and I can resize that to my heart's content. I'll go ahead and size that up, and I don't have to size it to aspect ratio. These are the kinds of things that if I just want to go ahead and stretch it out a little bit, it can stretch out. And Inkscape just does this wonderful job of keeping everything all nice and tight together. Now I can see in here, for example, while I'm going through and editing, I can say, gee, these things are a little bit crunched together, and I make a mental note to myself to go ahead and try and fix that so that it doesn't happen in the future. But I have to move this northing value over so it doesn't bump into my latitude value. It's an easy thing to adjust. So once I've done that, then I can come down here and make little minor tweaks on this, and I'm done with that. So I go around and double click and hit different things here. I've got this little magnetics box that needs to be brought over here and put someplace else. In this over here, I can resize this a little bit, bring this down, maybe stretched out a little bit. Bring in my arrow over here, put it over here with this magnetic information. Bring it, when I put it over there, it was pushed down on the bottom because the other thing's higher, so I come over there, pull that up.